Welcome to the GI Show. I am Alex Stadnick, and I have captured Ben Reeves in a small glass. I've shrunk him, and he is mine, as evil geniuses tend to do. The GI Show is mine, and I will rule it with a kind fist, because that's who I am. Welcome, everyone. Hope you're having a wonderful day. I'm not going to lie to you. This is the hypest show of the year so far, because it's pre-3. We already did the predictions. You already saw it. We have Battlefield 2042 we're going to be talking about. We have Ratchet Clank review that we're going to be talking about. And most hype of all, the late night legend himself, John Carson, is in the building. John Carson, welcome to Game Informer. Hello.
Thanks, Alex. How's it going?
Oh, I've drank too much tea at this point, if you can't tell.
It's going to be that kind of week.
It's going to be that kind of week. We are also joined by Jay Guisao. Hello, sir.
Yo. Hello, hello.
And of course, the queen of video games. You know her, you love her, Liana Rupert.
I want my crown.
It's in the mail, we promise. COVID
I want a crown made out of chicken nuggies.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's a beautiful thing. Actually, that would be doable. I think we should probably make something work. Yeah.
Do you remember my first podcast here? And I grabbed something thinking it was a chicken nuggie, and it was not a chicken nuggie, and there was just the look of disgust on my face. So anyway, video games.
Video games.
Not to hijack the show. What's your favorite chicken nuggie? Where's your go-to?
Wendy's spicy nuggets are like
yes,
where it is
absolutely.
at, fam. Like McDonald's tried to compete, but like scrub.
They're weird. Those McDonald's ones were very weird.
Yeah.
Agreed. Man of culture here.
This is John Carson. Welcome to the Chicken Nugget Show. We're discussing chicken nuggets at this point, but no, like I said, we're talking Battlefield, we're talking Ratchet, we're doing community emails, we're doing the whole thing. Welcome to the GI Show. But first, let's get to know John. John, welcome. I know you did a replay episode with us before you came on.
I did.
But I would love to know more. Where does your love of games come from? What's your industry experience? And just tell us about you. This is your time.
Yeah. Hey everyone. I have been a fan of games as long as I can remember. I have this weird memory of when I was like 2 of seeing a TV in a closet in like my childhood home that had like Mario 1 on it. And that's like my earliest memory.
And you knew this was your destiny.
Of anything. This is it. It's me sitting in a closet playing Mario. But growing up, I always bonded with people with games. My best friend growing up, Mike, we would always he had the Sega stuff. I had the Nintendo stuff. So we would go to each other's houses. He would come over on his birthday, super excited that he had Sonic 3, and we would just go and play that all day. We discovered together Earthbound when we were like 8 or 9 or so. And that's
Can I do it really quick? Can I do the thing really quick?
Yes.
I can't hear Earthbound without being like, Earthbound. Okay, go ahead.
Why Earthbound?
I don't know why, but my brain, every time somebody says it, that goes in my head. I can't stop it. I apologize. Continue.
I like it. So I was born in a Milwaukee suburb called West Dallas. I moved to Minnesota when I was 9. So it's kind of like one of those ages where it's a little bit like you could still make friends pretty easily. But coming here, I actually made friends with Earthbound. I picked up a copy at Best Buy when it was like $9. That'll never, ever happen with that game again.
Do you still have it?
And yeah, I do. I don't have the box or anything.
Oh.
I don't. I have the guide. I don't have the box.
Okay.
But that game is one of my most prized possessions. But bonded with friends over that, and grew lifelong bonds with that. I went to school temporarily for college for game design for about a year. Dropped out. Did not like it. Wanted to go a different course in the game industry, so I started writing. Got on Twitter, started talking with people on there, and started writing for a website called thegamereviews.com. And that's when I went to my first E3. So went to E3 back in 2009, started meeting some more people, became friends with some of the Game Informer staff of the time, Phil Kohler, Dan Reichert, Tim Turry, and just became friends with all of them. Kind of fell out of writing for a while, and started getting into the last few years. I've been in the audio visual industry as a service technician. So a lot of conference rooms, lots of operating rooms that I'm putting it like monitors and different video systems into. But I found my way back to games. So I'm now here after writing a little bit more, and I've been doing a podcast during the pandemic called Procedurally Generated with my friend Chris Weber, and we randomly choose 3 games a week and study the development and the connections between every game that we've taken on so far, and just talk about those each week. So
now, John, you said in our last thing we recorded that you do a podcast with Chris Weber. It's not the NBA player Chris Weber, right?
No.
Yes.
Not that I know of.
Yes, it is.
He's a tennis player, I believe.
Okay. I need to check out these things. Yeah. Well,
it would be way more popular if it was the NBA's Chris Weber.
Yeah. Well, John, I am thrilled to have you. I know we all are too. You know, on a quiet week, you know, nothing's really going on, so we can ease
chill.
in. It'll be great. Yeah.
I've just been sitting back, crossing my legs, and
just waiting for something
hanging
to
out.
do, right?
Hanging out. I've been just podcasting with you guys. It's been good.
Beautiful.
It's been good and relaxing.
Yeah, most definitely. Speaking of not relaxing, the antithesis of relaxation, actually. Oh my freaking God. Battlefield 2042.
Battlefield, baby.
It's over. It's done. Oh my God. I know that Jay, you and Liana had the opportunity to see the game. So, you know, say what you can, talk as long as you want. I'm here. We're here. We're listening. Liana, what are we thinking here? How to go?
Well, I mean, since we don't have like 6 hours, I'm sure everybody else would like a chance to talk. I will try to keep it minimum. But I will say that I absolutely love the Battlefield franchise. That and Medal of Honor are easily my top 2 favorite FPSs of all time. As former military, I'm a sucker for the gimmicky military shtick. They're not going with that this time. Like the non-patriots is what they're called, or non-pats, are made up of soldiers. They're made up of farmers, of engineers, of everybody, which is kind of cool. It's a interesting parallel, not too distant in the future too, which is nice because I don't like, you know, we got Mass Effect for that. We don't need unless you're letting me bang some aliens, I don't care about the super futures.
Just wait for the mods. You'll be fine. They'll come.
I mean, but yeah, no, it's good. It's like a hybrid experience for anybody that missed the reveal. There's if you're playing on this gen, Series X, PS5, PC, you got 128 player count. Playing on last gen, 64, but they did change it to where you don't lose any of that dynamicism or anything like that. Got dynamic weather. You can weaponize a freaking tornado. You can drive a vehicle that drops mines behind you. You got changes to the specialists. The specialists actually matter now. There's like backstory. There's lore that you can find throughout the game. Grapple hooks for days. The largest maps. You love to see it, Alex. Yeah. And then you got like the largest maps to date, which is great. You got an Egypt map, which got like dust storms and stuff. The verticality, they're bringing back the verticality. I feel like some of the newer Battlefields really lost that. That's what made, to me, Battlefield a little bit better than Call of Duty, because Call of Duty has its own experience and it's good, but like truth bomb and
shots fired.
It's very contained. You know, Call of Duty is very contained. They've got their maps. It's got its charm, but it's contained. Versus Battlefield, it's go ham, go hard, do whatever you want to do. Speaking of ham, and Jay, you know this, I am really bad about just not caring about strategy. I just kind of go and hope for the best. As a sniper, that doesn't always work best for me, because sometimes I'll be like, bam, headshot, bam, headshot. I'm going to go run into this group of enemies, and it's going to be fine, folks. But they have a new dialogue, or they have a new weapons wheel. So, like, if you're in the middle of a firefight and you do go sniper, but now you're in close quarters all of a sudden, you can change out your gear right then and there, change out your scope, change out your weapons. Also cool, because there's no weapon lock, which is nice. Of course, your specialist has the special ability, because you got to have a reason to play. But no weapon lock. So if you want to go support class and go sniper or SMG, don't let your dreams be dreams, kids. Cool. I'm excited. Jay and I have been freaking out like all week. It's been really hard to keep it quiet.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Jay,
I'm just Yeah, go ahead.
I was
Sorry.
just going to say, I want to hear what you have to say, but because I have plenty of questions. But I'm curious about your impressions with this so far as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just like Leon, I'm beyond excited to hop back into Battlefield. I missed out on a couple of the more recent ones, but I was a huge Battlefield 3 fan, played it all the time. And it's just exciting to sort of come back to that modern setting. I mean, there's nothing like having these humongous maps, right? And then you like spawn like on the outskirts, hop in a vehicle with your friends, and it's kind of that calm before the storm as you look at like the metropolis in the distance, and there's all that fighting and you're driving to it. It's just nuts. Like there's no other shooter that's giving you that, right? And so it's just really exciting to know that it'll be even more massive, and it'll have like the technical advancements with like next gen and whatnot. I'm just beyond excited. Truly, it's going to be a blast.
From behind you, does it have Tracer body pillows as a specialist?
That's in the tornado.
I wish I'd get another body pillow if they had a Tracer body pillow. put it on the other side, right?
Can you imagine just in a tornado, Tracer body pillows going crazy, Garrus body pillows? It's just all the body pillows, really. Hey, wait, it's EA. They could do Garrus body pillows.
They could.
Andy Mack, if you're listening,
to spare.
Yeah, we got you, Andy Mack. Don't you worry. That's incredible. And as of this listening, I have not seen gameplay yet. I am curious, though. You both said, or Liana, you said 128 player lobby for next gen, correct?
Yes.
And then 64 player for current gen or last gen, whatever gen. Yeah.
Last gen.
Yeah. PS4, Xbox One.
That feels weird to say that.
Right?
Yeah, it does.
Especially with so many people not being able to get into this gen.
Yeah. Right.
And for those doing the math at home, that is half of the size of next gen. So did they talk about, are they going to scale maps, or like, are they going to do anything to make it feel like if you're a PS4 player, like you're not just wandering in the void?
So they didn't go into like super specifics about it. They were very adamant though, like throughout numerous parts and during our interview after, where they're like, we knew that people would be concerned about the size difference. So they, according to them, put a lot of effort to make sure that the experience isn't downgraded at all. From what it sounded like there were some technical limitations. They were worried about pushing last gen hardware a little bit too far, which is understandable. You've got the loading times, you got the ray tracing, you've got all the buzzwords that sound cool. And but yeah, they said that they balanced everything. They didn't talk about map restrictions because not every map is super huge either. Some maps are a little bit more scaled back regardless of the platform. It's just more about, they focused more on having differing biomes and making sure that each map felt really super unique regardless of size. So I really just think that, yeah, it was just to make sure. And Jay, please correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounded like they were doing it more as a technical management system.
Yeah.
To make sure, we all know that shooters, any online game, you're going to run into a plethora of issues. You're going to have glitches. You're going to have the bugs. You're going to have messed up hitboxes. I think that was just their way of trying to manage it a little bit better between the two differing platforms.
For sure. You heard it here first, folks. Size doesn't necessarily matter. We have it confirmed.
Ladies.
Oh my God. Wow.
I'm hosting, baby. Last time I'm going to get these in.
Next week, Alex and I got fired.
I wonder, like, considering a lot of the footage from the trailer, there's a lot of people grouped up in kind of smaller spaces, and I wonder if that's part of their plan with this game is to have more people together, as opposed to like 3 people at one side of the map, another 2 like half a kilometer away. If they're trying to group people up to have those bigger firefights.
Interesting. I think too, like one thing that they are actually doing to make sure that players don't just kind of camp out. We see you, campers. There is strategy camping, and then there's just camping because you suck.
That's me.
That's me. I have no skill, so no tea, no shade.
Yeah,
it's fine.
No, when you said sniper, I'm like, yeah, right here.
Sniper.
Right here. I'm laying down, tracking the arc of my bullet.
Snipers are supposed to camp. That's your job.
Yeah.
Sniping with camping with an SMG makes no freaking sense.
Yeah.
But they have the specialists, and we talked a little bit that because we have another video coming out too. But what's kind of cool is that Battlefield has never really been really focused, except unless you go into the Bad Company area. It's never really been super hyper focused on, the identity of the specialists. It's been more like gun go boom, and then that's kind of the shtick. And with this one, they're supplementing because there is no single player campaign, which is a bold move, and it can be done right, but you have to do it right. And if you're going to do that, especially for a game that even though single player hasn't really been the focus of Battlefield like it has been for maybe a game like Medal of Honor or Call of Duty, you still kind of gotta balance out your game a little bit. So part of the way they're balancing that out, there's a couple different ways, but a big part, at least that stuck out to me, and Jay and I talked about this immensely, is they're giving specialists some actual story, some actual background information. This isn't the first time Battlefield is doing it, but I feel like this is the first time they might actually do it correctly. They didn't spoil it. They were very careful not to spoil it because it sounds like they got something really cool. I feel like they're kind of going to go the Destiny route a little bit, how Destiny has the lore hidden throughout the map. Getting certain gear will get you a grimoire, and I feel like they're going to do that. And the way it was expressed is that it kind of feels like that lore hunt is going to be kind of a way to nudge people to explore the maps. Like, yeah, there's a cool skyscraper, but you're not going to get to see everything the game has to offer if you're just sniping there every single time you play. And then the weather dynamics change that too. If you're camping in a spot and you see a giant tornado hurtling towards you, your life is probably going to flash before your eyes and you're going to want to move. And I feel like that's a cool little incentive to do that, of, learn more about these characters. They're obviously very unique, especially the sport class. And if you're going to be spending bucks on a game, like, get everything you can out of that game.
For sure. Yeah. I guess for me, and I've talked about this on the show, the Bad Company games are, I think, two of the best Battlefield games in the series, and did important things to push this series forward. So I'm a little, obviously, I was hoping for Bad Company 3, which obviously it's not. It looks, 2042 looks great. Are you guys okay that it doesn't have a single player story? I enjoyed the vignettes from Battlefield 1. They're not like, they weren't winning Oscars, but I enjoyed them. I didn't get to play 5, but I guess I'm curious, John, you can chime in here too. Did you want single player from Battlefield?
I personally don't, actually. I kind of come from the early days of Battlefield, so I was playing 2142 and 1942, and was it 1943? The smaller downloadable one.
Yeah, so good.
Battlefield Heroes. Like, I mainly stuck to multiplayer, and I think that's where a lot of the most that's where all the fun comes from with Battlefield. It was one of the first like emergent gameplay shooters out there. Everyone was making their own crazy tactics of jumping on the wings of planes and seeing what kind of crazy stuff they can get away with. To me, Battlefield's always been that. It's cool if there's a single player, but that's really just the bonus to the breadth of multiplayer options that they usually have.
For sure.
Yeah.
Jay?
Yeah, I think John put it nicely. Like it, and it's interesting. I never really thought of it that way, just because I'm more of a narrative guy. So it's like, even if I know that I'm going to be playing the multiplayer for the most part, right? Like I do like having the option. So I think, John, you put it nicely, like how it's a nice bonus. I don't know. I've been into battle royales recently anyway, so it's like I'm not disappointed about there not being a single player. I was also like one of three people who liked like Battlefield 3's story. I don't know, but I wouldn't have minded a story. Yeah, dude, no one liked Battlefield 3's story. I was just like, I was so emotionally moved by it. I don't know what it was. I like the characters. I guess they're not characters for other people. They're just husks. But like, I don't know.
It makes you feel any better. Cool. I liked Advanced Warfare's story, and I get crucified for that every time I say it. So I'm really in no position to judge.
Liana, how about you?
It's funny.
I said this earlier, Battlefield, that's never been its strong point. Like, it's offered it in the past, but that was never the focus. Like Call of Duty, when they announced there wasn't going to be a single player for their entry, I was like, that's really stupid. And again, comment section, I already know you don't got to tell me I suck. I'm aware, but I play Call of Duty for the story, and then the multiplayer is the bonus for me. Like, I will play the multiplayer absolutely after I finish the story, but when I buy Call of Duty, I'm like, I can't wait to see what they do with the story. And Battlefield's never been that for me. So I'm not like heartbroken. I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm not going to buy it. Because I waited. I waited till Call of Duty was dirt cheap when they, did that. Because I was like, that's what I paid for. For me, Battlefield 2042, from everything we've seen and everything that's kind of been expressed to us, is a day one buy. Do I wish they had a single player though? Yeah, absolutely. However, I see what they're trying to do, and I hope that fans see what they're trying to do too, because they really went out of their comfort zone with this, and they brought in people from different studios for this. They brought in a lot of varied talent because they heard what the community was asking for. It's like something's got to change because this franchise is becoming a shell of what it used to be. Well, you can't make change if you're not willing to change. And I appreciate that they had everything on the drawing board and they said, we could do this, but it's going to take away from a lot of the aspects of multiplayer. It's going to pull resources from that. And if the multiplayer is the heart of their vision, trust your gut. If it doesn't work, better luck next time. But I appreciate the fact that they're trying.
Definitely. And that was the thing watching that trailer yesterday, as you're listening to this, or a long time ago, if you're listening to this in like 2023. Hello.
Hi.
I hope the future is nice. But there is that level of water cooler moments when Battlefield is at its best. I remember the clip of someone shooting a rocket 3 miles away and sniping a helicopter, you know what I mean? Or like people jumping out of their jets, doing exactly what they did in the trailer and blowing up another jet and then jumping back in. Crazy shit like that. And I'm happy they're leaning into it because we talked about, right? I feel like Battlefield, especially in that like 3 and 4 era and 5 or whatever, and even in the World War II stuff, was like so serious about itself. And it's just the proof, like that's all good and fine, but we have games for that. And I love the embracement, all that. Yeah.
I'll call up the dictionary and we'll get that added.
Yeah. We all right. Whatever.
Whatever. Yeah. There's a reason you guys have me proof with you guys, but I'm just excited about that because I feel like the Fortnites of the world don't necessarily have those water cooler moments as much, as it comes to spectacle, right? And I feel like Titanfall, the first Titanfall especially, did such a good job of that because it was, it was new and it was fresh. And I really hope with this dynamic weather, we can get back to that and, come into Monday meetings every week and be like, yo, like, check this out. I was like, did a 360 no scope out of this tornado, flew down into a helicopter and like bombarded like an ATV rally. Like, I don't know.
Also just being exhausted because none of us are sleeping.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I'm trying to think. We covered, obviously there's going to be plenty of building destruction and levolution in this, correct? With the dynamic weather. Did they talk about, did you guys see like to the degree, like our buildings going to be coming down?
You're going to have to wait until June 13th to find out, Mr. Stadnick.
Damn it.
True enough. Yeah.
Spoilers.
True enough.
Yeah.
And embargo.
Okay. That's what I figured. I'm trying to soak all this out of you. Can you guys talk about weapons at all? Or is that embargo too?
Yeah. They can talk we can talk a little bit about weapons.
Okay.
Jay had some really cool ideas about the weapons. We can't obviously go into a whole lot of detail, but what Jay was talking about earlier about weapons when we were planning our coverage was pretty exciting. So I'm gonna let him take that away because
I can talk like a little bit about weapons. So there is definitely like a lot of cool stuff going on with the specialists and the different type of weapons they have. Something specifically that I'm into, and I don't know if there are any other medic players out there. Anybody here like to play the medic class?
Yeah.
I love I love the medic class. I love the defibs. You just run around with the defibs. You don't even take your weapons out, right?
Yeah.
But there is a weapon that you can use. It's like a pistol, and it can sort of revive people, and you like shoot them and kind of keeps you out of like
finally
harm's way.
a gun that does some good.
Exactly. And I'm an Ana player from Overwatch here, so it's like, there
So
you
you're
go.
beaming.
I get to be I don't get Tracer in Battlefield, but I get to be Ana in Battlefield, you know what I'm saying? So
isn't that the comparison we made too during the thing? We were like, we can be Ana.
No, yeah, exactly. No, seriously. And I mean, Liana talked about it a little bit. I think you talked about it a little bit, Liana. I definitely know you talked about it in our other video. But there are like there's grappling hooks too, and and just like to keep like spoilers out, but there might be some cool things you might be able to do with tornadoes and grappling hooks. I don't know. But I don't know. There's a lot of cool weapons, and I'm really excited for it. And we talked about it really briefly, but just being able to change your weapons on the fly, at least for me, is it's just a humongous deal. The honest example, you're a sniper, and everybody gets that hunger where you see like that group of people, and you're just like, I'm gonna go over there, I'm gonna take them out. Exactly, like with my bolt action rifle, like I'm just gonna no scope all 6 of them, right? And you go over there and you get obliterated, right? But it's now before you do that, you can be like, oh yeah, I can totally just open up this radial menu and just change around my weapon, grab a new one, put on a new scope for close range, put on a grip or something, and then go right in there. And I don't know, it makes the game a little bit more tactical in that aspect too. If you're like rushing a squad with a squad and you guys are all snipers or something, you'd be like, wait guys, chill out. Let's change our weapons real quick before we go in and get obliterated. Yeah, we have. But yeah.
Okay.
So
I guess
the weapons are definitely going to be
cool.
Chaos. Freedom with chaos is what it feels like.
It's a beautiful thing. That also sounds like the tagline. Did you lift that? Freedom
Maybe. I don't know. I just got my first coffee of the day. It's possible.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, I'm so happy you both got a chance to see it and play it. I can't wait.
Same.
I'm reserving what I'm about to say until I see actual gameplay on the 13th. But that is about as good of a first impression as a Battlefield game has made on me in quite some time, and it may be one of my most anticipated games now.
That's literally what I said to Jay at the end. Was this is the first time I was like, "Wow, a Battlefield game is a day one buy for me." I have not felt that in a very long time. I'm a simple man. Give me a good shooter.
Yeah,
I'll be happy. I was popping off the entire trailer, just everything that kept on coming up. It was incredible, and I haven't felt that way for a shooter in a long time. So
what's your favorite part?
I mean, it's hard not to point out the flying in a jet, ejecting, and then pulling out a bazooka and blowing up another jet, or was it a helicopter? Blowing up something, and then grabbing on to the side of the jet and then jumping back in and flying off. Like that is such a Battlefield thing. That's just awesome,
bro. In the first moment when they're parachuting in and you're like, okay, here we go, we're action, and then the plane destroys like the group of people past the camera.
They're just like dropping off the cliff, and
go watch it. Good. I screamed, like I was like, oh, let's go.
So good. So and like the tornado stuff, I'm like, oh, someone played Just Cause 4 and they wanted to put this system into this game, which 10 out of 10, like, yes, please do that in just about any open environment that you can. Add wingsuits, add all that stuff. I can't wait to just cruise around that game and see what kind of wild stuff I can get up to.
Yeah. And John, you'll be able to October 22nd for PS5, Series X, PC, PS4, and Xbox One. Xbox Uno, right? I covered it pretty good. Okay.
No Amazon Luna. Sorry, Amazon.
Sorry, fans.
Out, buddy.
What are you gonna do? Mr. Carson. What I guess I should have said, I was just too excited to start the show. We're technically in the playlist. I didn't mention that a long time ago, but it's fine. Our audience is smart. They know what's going on. Your first playlist. What are you? You kind of touched on the games that made you right and put you in the position you're in today. That doesn't matter. What are you playing now? What have you done for me lately?
All right. I've actually been going back into the vault a little bit. Heading into E3, I started thinking about what games should be potentially announced. And I started looking through my list of games that I have on Steam. I'm like, hey, I haven't played Trials in a while. There should probably be a new Trials coming up. And I installed Trials Rising, which I never got to. And I might have spent like around like 30 hours in that game in the last couple of weeks.
30?
So 30 hours. That game's really fun. Trials is really good. I don't think it ever stopped being good. I think it just got a little bit more janky as time went on, and kind of fell off people's radars because of that. But I think that's a series that people should pay attention to again.
Has a nice personality.
It absolutely does. It absolutely does.
It does.
So that's outside of preparing for this job and my usual nightly Magic the Gathering arena. That's mainly what I've been jamming on.
What is it? Because is Rising the latest Trials game? Forgive my ignorance.
It is. Yeah, I think it's from like 2019.
Okay, and it still feels good. It still holds up. Or what about the jank has kind of thrown you off from the series?
There's a lot of like visual jank. So there's a lot of like texture streaming issues that I've run into. A lot of performance issues kind of in the background. The actual like driving has seemed pretty fine. But some of the jank's really fun. Like you'll run your rider into like a chunk of wood and he'll splice halfway into it and just hang out there. Or he'll ride on the front of your bike for a while. Like that kind of stuff is great. But a lot of like the visual technical stuff that'll happen in the background kind of takes away from it a bit.
For sure. Would you recommend people give it another shot if they're itching for killing themselves?
I think so. And I think it's on sale right now, leading up to E3, and I think it's on the Epic Games Store for like $5 or something. Like, yeah, go any of the Trials Evolution, Trials Rising, Trials Gold, I guess would be the first one that got widely released. But yeah,
for sure. All right, John, thank you so much for that. Whoa, do you guys feel that?
Oh my god.
Oh god, is that a dimensional rift? What's happening? We'll see you back in a second. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the GI show. I assembled some of the heaviest hitters you're going to find on this show. We got the EIC himself, Andrew Reiner. What up, sir?
Oh my God, I'm so excited to be here. Finally! Yes!
It's been a minute.
Yes!
And then, I don't know how we did it, but we got the host of the GI show on the GI show. How crazy is that? Can you believe it?
Just when I thought I had a week off, can you bring me back in?
Drew you back in, baby.
Yeah, you're not screwing up the show this week, are you?
No, just don't bother watching the
right.
first part of it. It's fine. There's a couple of fires, we put them out. It was a whole thing. But today, we are here to talk about one of the biggest games of the year, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, which I have my feelings on. I'm very excited to dive into it with you guys. Reiner, you wrote the review, did you not?
I did, yes. It's on GameInformer.com. I'm going to spoil it with the score right now, so people can stop listening as soon as they hear this.
Don't do that.
It is a 9 out of 10.
Woo! There we go. You love to see it from the bigger games. What did you like about it? Let's dive into it.
The rest of the segment should just be like 20 minutes of silence. I don't think anybody's listening, right?
Yeah.
They all tuned
it's
out.
Over. Yeah. We can all take a bathroom break.
Oh, wait. Not here.
Maybe that would make for good content. I don't know.
Yeah. So what do I think of it? It's every bit as ratchety as I want it to be. And it's every bit as next gen or current gen as I want it to be as well, right? Like it is a showpiece of both the evolution of the Ratchet and Clank series and also just games in general, like showing what this new hardware is capable of, what the PlayStation 5 can do. And it just kind of dazzles every step of the way. And it's equally as fun, right? Like you're in awe of certain things going on in the environment. And at the same time, it's just that classic, really tried and true Ratchet gameplay in lockstep with it. I adore this game.
Yeah, I'm feeling the exact same way. I think jaw dropping is a very cliched terms, but cliches are around for a reason, right? But like the first intro sequence when you're coming out to the parade, was absolutely spellbinding on a 4K TV because of the sheer amount of detail and what was going on in the environment and just the vibrancy of the colors, and that just continues all the way through. It feels like every new world is an entirely new experience with a different color palette, but it feels just pulsing and alive in a way that I think some games struggle with, but I think that was the goal with next gen, right? And I think they definitely, Insomniac did a great job of hitting that. Ben, you've played a bit yourself, right?
Yeah, I loved it. It's one of those games where, like Reiner was saying, that it feels like true next gen in a way that we haven't felt a ton of quite yet. Certainly there's PS5 shortages and people are complaining that they can't get their hands on one, rightfully complaining that they can't get their hands on a new system, but you haven't really needed one, I don't think, quite yet until now, because, certainly games like Miles Morales look better and it definitely performs better. And like, I love my PS5, don't get me wrong, but I've been able to have a lot of those same experiences on my PS4 if I really needed to until now.
Sure.
I mean,
yeah.
Ratchet Clank is an amazing game, and I'm glad I'm playing it, and it truly does feel like a next-gen type title.
Yeah, there's times where they're clearly doing tech tests, right? There's stretches where you're on the back of this like snail, and it's a snail that's really fast, like the Flash, which makes no sense, but I kind of love that design. But you're on the back of this snail, and you're roaring along this singular path, like very linear path, just straight forward, and they're just loading in new dimensions. And you could tell they're just like, how far can we push this hardware? And you see that every gen. There's games that are doing something that's different and really kind of showing what they can do with the new tools at their disposal. And that's one moment where I was just laughing out loud because I knew exactly what they were doing. Yeah. And it was cool. It was effective. But, there's times where, you look at, I don't want to give away some of the bad guys and stuff, but you look at a character's design, he's all metal. And just the reflections and just the way that those textures look. I know this is a weird thing to say, but just the way the textures feel next gen, even like looking at a sheep that's getting drunk at a bar, you're like, that wool looks really, really cool.
Really cool.
So we're having those thoughts or those kind of impressions again, right? Like with this new hardware. And this is one of those first games, even though the PS5's been out since last year and we're midway through 2021, we haven't had a lot of dedicated PS5 only games or even Xbox Series X. They've always been straddling gens, right? This is a game that is designed specifically for this hardware. And you really see that in the graphics and the performance, just how fast it loads. There's some planets where you could go between dimensions for kind of puzzle solving, environmental puzzle solving, or not even environmental puzzle solving, but just kind of continuing the path forward. You have to switch between dimensions, right? And it's really cool to just in a flash, like a white flash, the environment completely changes. And even the lighting, everything, like it's just, whoa, like I'm now in a different world.
Instantaneous. Yeah. It's like, back when we had dial-up internet and then we suddenly got cable internet, it kind of feels like that. It's like it's that fast. You're like, oh, it's a whole new world. The other thing I was going to note is it kind of feels like Insomniac sharpened their teeth while working on Spider-Man a little bit. The stuff they did in the Spider-Man games, the cool set piece action moments, they bring some of that knowledge over here to Ratchet because there's a bunch of sequences in this Ratchet game where you're just stuff is popping up all over the place and you're barreling through some cool action set piece thing where you would expect from like a J.J. Abrams movie or something, but you're controlling it. Like it feels really good.
Definitely. And they weave in story just like Spider-Man, where in the past Ratchet games, you'd get to your objective point A to B and then you get a story break. This one, as you're like jumping off a rail, it might be a story sequence, just like the Spider-Man games where they kind of set up a new action dynamic and then continue it. It's really neat how they do that stuff.
For sure. A great example of that is actually on our YouTube page right now. There's a sequence on this junk planet where you're basically rail sliding around this titanic robot as he's trying to kill Rivet and Clank. And there are a couple of those moments that I think are, to Ben's point, punctuated even more with their learnings from Spider-Man, right? With like their ability to, you're not just on one rail or jumping between rails anymore. You're jumping between these pads and running along walls. So it's a little bit more, not visceral, but a little bit more engaging, right? Compared to some of that old playthrough. I will say, people coming into this going like, we're singing a lot of praises about this, right? Being next gen, and it 100% is. But there's a lot of Ratchet DNA in here. You're not getting like a crazy new experience. But for me, that was okay because we we've gone away from this kind of platformer, I feel like, in recent history, right? So maybe that's why it felt more fresh to me. I don't know. What did you guys think?
Yeah, it feels like a well-worn glove that's been, in pristine condition, for decades, right? Like it does still feel like Ratchet and Clank. So you have this backdrop that's very next gen or new gen or whatever you want to call it, current gen, I guess we should call it now. But on top of that, the gameplay, as soon as you start playing, it's like, oh, this is the Ratchet I've known forever, and it just feels a little smoother, and you got the performance mode and all that stuff as well. If you want it even smoother than that, 60 frames or whatever. But it's tried and true, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's one knock I would have against it. The weapons don't feel as inventive as they did in the past. Some of them are cool and they do different things, but a lot of them are kind of holdovers, or very similar to ones that they've done before. Also, just another knock is just kind of the mechanical structure of the adventure, where you go to this bar where you can go to the arena and they let you do like the bronze tier challenges. And then after the second act of the story, you go back to that bar and then you get to do silver. And then when you're going into the final act, they drop you in the bar again and it's gold. And you're just kind of like, I see your blueprint. I see into the matrix a little too much, I guess. And you just know it sets you up for the end. It's coming, but there's just that flow. Maybe a little too old school, or I don't know, not as dynamic as I wanted it to be.
For sure. And while we're picking nits here, I definitely, there were some platforming moments that surprised me on where I felt like I totally made the jumper could grab onto the ledge and it just sent me all the way down. Like, and I died. And
those big launches.
Yep. Yeah. Sometimes it like,
is this
what's up?
Near the end of the game?
I would say throughout there was, I would say more like towards the middle. And then as it went on, there's just a couple of moments where I was like, oh, especially with like how crisp and responsive something like Sunset Overdrive and Spider-Man is. I guess I was a little surprised that I ran into hitches like that.
Sure.
They weren't enough to ruin my experience at all, but it definitely became prevalent after a little bit. And also, I don't know what difficulty you gents played on. I played on not the hardest, but the second from the hardest.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a really great challenge throughout, but there were some times, especially in those gold, silver, and bronze like challenge cups, where I felt that the difficulty completely spiraled, and I was like,
"Oh yeah, they put you at a disadvantage intentionally, where you just have one weapon that you're not really, maybe you don't even have at that point, and you're just like,
exactly.
What's this freeze thing?
How does this thing work? Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
That's the first time you get it, right? Mm-hmm. Or one thing I got to point out: the balancing of the bolts throughout the game. There's a point where you're like, oh, I could buy 4 guns. You got to choose which gun you want. You don't have enough bolts, but by the end of the game, you have everything you need. I was very impressed with that. Like that felt, very empowering in giving me everything I needed. And that was impressive. And obviously they've done this a long time and they have it down to a science, and it's to our benefit now. But yeah,
you mentioned the guns too, like the guns, and like you mentioned how some of them are repeats. But at the same time, I was kind of excited by a lot of the guns I picked up, like the buzz blades, were the little buzzsaw things that just bounce around on things. Like I know I played that in another Ratchet game, but I really like that gun, so it's fun to see again. Or the Agents of Doom, where you just drop a ball on the ground.
Powerful.
And 4 little minions pop out. Oh, I think that one's OP. Honestly, that one.
Yeah. Oh, it is.
Oh yeah.
It is.
You just like drop 4 of those on the ground and everything's dead.
Yeah.
But it's super fun to use.
Yeah, and they're all kind of given new life with the new haptic feedback. Where if you pull halfway, it's a single shot on the shotgun. If you pull all the way, it's both chambers are unloaded. What's the charge beam? I love how that works. Where you pull it halfway and you just you can hold it in place.
Yep.
And then you could just release it if you don't want to fire it yet, or you could pull it all the way through and it's instantaneous fire then.
Yeah.
That works really well. Like that controller is made for little things like that.
100%.
And then the sound design, the 3D audio coming from the controller is really cool too.
Definitely. I definitely, I was surprised at how much I use the topiary sprinkler. I think that's how you pronounce that, topiary. Like I would do, like if there was a big boss fight, right? I would throw down Mr. Fungus or Mr. Fungi or Miss Fungi and then the topiary, and then I just go to town. And that was like always until until the later stage is always a good strategy. So I guess I saw it in pre-release and I was like, okay, like cool, that looks funny and silly, but like especially when they introduce the shield enemies, it's essential. And I feel like the best compliment I can give to these guns, even though like Reiner said they're not necessarily revolutionary, is that it felt like I could use almost all of them in different situations. Almost all of them had their place, which, I don't know if every Ratchet game has done a great job of that. So,
yeah. Well, and you're bound to run out of ammo eventually from something. So even if you're using your favorite gun all the time, you're going to run out of ammo of it for it. And then that encourages you to try out some of the other things. Because I'm with you. The topiary sprinkler, I was like, what is this thing? It's a sprinkler that turns things into plants. And it's not clear how much damage it's doing. But once you start using it, it's just like set it and forget it. And it helps you with mobs. Like it pauses the action on the battlefield and gives you a chance to breathe. Like I actually use that thing surprising amount.
The one thing too, the story, exactly where this thing's going to go. Everyone, what's going to happen in these games. But the dimensional play adds a new element of mystery and fun to this, where there's two versions of every character. So you could just kind of use your brain, like, who are your favorite characters? You're going to see the alternate version of them. What are they going to be like? So the one they've talked about is Skids. What's his name? Skids McSkiddy
or something like that.
I can't remember his name, but you guys know.
Yeah.
He's kind of the
Skid
stoner
Marks?
guy. Yeah, Skid Marks, whatever. And then he's like a kind of a cool superhero like character in this alternate reality. But just think about all the characters, what that means, seeing what they would be like in the alternate dimension. Ratchet, very cool. Rivet, just as cool. I really liked her story. Where that goes, especially kind of how she's changed through time. I don't want to give things away, but they have some good beats there and some good follow through.
There was an interesting amount of self not acceptance. What's the word I'm looking for? There was a couple times where it's felt like it was Insomniac talking to us through these characters, right? Especially in the beginning, where like Ratchet and Clank are both like, we haven't done this in so long. Like, are we even good at this anymore? And like, I feel like that self-doubt was a good narrative thread throughout, but I thought it was an interesting comment by Insomniac going like, we haven't done a new one of these in years. Like the last new one we got was Ratchet and Clank remake in 2016 to go with the movie, right? And I've beat it as well. And I think the answer is they still have it, and they still did a phenomenal job of painting this crazy universe and making it feel fresh again.
Yeah.
So,
I know we've criticized it a little bit. I'm like, there's things to criticize about everything, but I still had so much fun playing this game, and it's just such a like blockbuster summer type experience. It's such a fun little game. So if you have a PS5, I definitely recommend checking it out.
And I guess maybe, I'm sure people will boo me in the comments, right? But if you're on the fence about a PS5, like I feel like now, if you can get access to one, right, that's still the challenge. But now you're looking at a stable of Spider-Man Miles Morales, Demon Souls Returnal, which I can't recommend enough, and now Ratchet. You're starting to get a library here that becomes more and more interesting. And I really think Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is probably the closest to like a Pixar game that we've gotten. I know that feels weird when Buzz and Woody are in like Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah. We say this a lot though. Whenever there's a new generation, we're like, Pixar. We got you, Pixar. Our games are just as good now.
Yeah.
Well, go and look at stills. Is that Mr. Pixar himself?
That is, yeah.
You should go look at stills from the 2016 Ratchet and Clank film and then compare them. I know people were comparing it to the game and these look similar, but like I think this game looks better than that film just from 4 years ago. It's crazy.
Definitely.
Yeah. And one thing I will point out, we're talking about it being a big blockbuster. Do not think in any way it's going to be a bigger, bolder Ratchet and Clank game. It is true Ratchet and Clank. It's just the visuals are just turned up a notch, right? Like you have new hardware in your hands and it's playing with those tools in a very dynamic way. But it is these adventures have always been, galactic in scope, big bosses, mobs of enemies everywhere. All that's the same. The flow is the same, moving from planet to planet. You move a little quicker in some spaces when they're open, like they do some new things, but by and large, it's still the Ratchet and Clank, I
think it's the best version of the established formula, at least for me.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the best ones I've played in years.
Yeah, Going Commando was like the third one in that trilogy on PS2. I thought was just a masterpiece, in terms of how they turned everything up a notch. This one reminds me of that, right? Like it's in lockstep there, and it's if you love Ratchet and Clank, you can't ask for much more than this.
For sure, it's a beautiful thing. A review is on the site, as Reiner said. Gave it a big
Hopefully I put it there. Yeah,
it should be there. Yeah, gave it a 9. Video review is on YouTube currently, so be sure to check that out. And I believe that we'll either have done a stream or we're going to do a stream, depending on when this comes out. So stay tuned for that. But gentlemen, you smell that?
Awesome. Can I get back to my beach margarita now, Alex?
Yeah, get out of here. Oh, okay, good. Whew. I got Reeves back in his bottle. He's not coming out the rest of the show. I took care of him. Whew. Let's do some community. Finally, right? Can we do some community emails, please? I have John Carson with me again. I have Liana Rupert again. And we introducing the one and only, the wonderful Marcus Stewart. Hello.
Hello. I feel like I just missed a saga of some sort.
You're just going to have to watch the start of this episode.
It's a whole thing.
Getting a little nutty. That's what happens when you give me the keys to the convertible. Anywho, we're doing community emails. Let's community some emails. This is the section of the show where our loving, gorgeous, beautiful community writes in where? Podcast@GameInformer.com. Send us games, dreams, questions. That's what we're here for. We're here for you. And we have a lovely batch this week. Let me tell you. Starting with one from Eli Medina. They tried to guess who was going to be on the show, and they get half credit. So, hi, Ben, Dan, Liana, and Alex. Worth a shot. Always shoot your shot.
Yeah, halfway there.
Always shoot your shot, Chad.
They meant the other Alex, though.
Yeah, true. You only got one there. I was reflecting on my unstable hype for the canceled game Aeon Must Die. I'm not familiar with that one. It upsets me so much that a project that promising looking got canceled due to poor management. Have there been any games you've been extremely hyped for just to see them get canceled?
First of all, if I'm looking at the right game, I see it's planned for this year on Steam. You can still add it to your wish list. I see Aeon Must Die,
It's
AEON?
Yeah.
Exclamation point at the end?
We're not commenting necessarily on the validity of the email. We don't.
Hey, maybe we're making a dream come true.
I hope he's wrong because I forgot about this game and it does look really cool. And I did not hear that it got canceled. So I hope that is not true.
Yeah. But rumors, what we know about Aeon Must Die aside, do you guys have like a canceled game that you were just like, yep, this is the next Mario Kart. This is like the next like God of War. Like, I don't know. Interesting comparison there. But Marcus, do you want to start?
I'm just going to say this real quick because it's the first thing that comes to everyone's mind. Silent Hills, I will never get over. That is not my actual answer because it's a horse that's been beaten to death, but I'm just going to, I'm still get mad about that game not happening because I love PT so much. But my real answer is Mega Man Legends 3. I was
the dead horse I was going to beat.
Oh, okay. Well, I got to it first. I'm sorry.
All right.
But yeah, I think everyone forgets that was like the selling point of the 3DS, at least for me. And I was like, I think that was announced even before like Mario 3D Land or around the same time. Mario 3D Land came out later, but
it was such a huge thing too, because everyone had been clamoring for a new Mega Man Legends. They're like, all right, we're going to do it. They put out a demo for it and still canceled the game afterwards. So
they had that community thing where they're like, hey, you can help us design the enemies and have that website. So everyone was drawing all this cool little concept art and like, yeah, we're helping. And then Capcom just pulled the rug out like, actually, no. And to this day, it's such a bummer because I love those first two games, especially the second one. And, Mega Man's still on the moon. He's still trapped there. We're never going to get him down from there. So yeah, I like to think that maybe one day they'll revisit that. I mean, we got Mega Man 11 a few years ago, but it sucks. I always wonder like what that could have been. So
yeah, for sure. John, was that yours?
No, I have another one.
Okay.
There's been a lot of disappointment in my gaming life. This one's more recent. And I guess it's maybe a little bit similar, but this was canceled out of the blue. Scalebound was a game that was slated for the Xbox One by Platinum Games, directed by Hideki Kamiya. And we saw quite a bit from this game. It kind of hit some troubled development and never ended up being continued to be developed. So
I remember seeing that at an E3, and they had like a big booth for it with like a dragon and everything, and it looked awesome. And like, yeah, that thing looked pretty cheesy. Like the character, I don't even remember his name or if he got it.
Yeah, I started to warm up to like the weird, stylish headphones and whatever like modern aesthetic that character had in this dragon world. But
yeah, like I wanted to see how they would
Hunter, but like super hip.
Right.
Dragons.
Yeah. With the cool kids.
Like Dragon Guard, kind of like Devil May Cry. Like I wanted to see what the dragon element, how they would have blended that with their like stylish action stuff.
Yeah. Especially that came at a time where I still have the day one Xbox One controller. I was there from day one and trying to convince my friends how great it was over here. And then they announced Scalebound. I was like, we got Scalebound, baby. We have Titanfall.
Got our own layer. Let's go.
Sunset Overdrive. Like we're living over here. What do you got PS4? Yeah, and then I found out, but
but then they got Phil Spencer and it worked out.
Yeah, and everything was great.
They should have replaced the character with Phil Spencer's, put headphones on.
That would have been wonderful. Yeah. So like, but that was in that time period, right, where like games were sparse. I think Fable Legends got canceled around the same time too, and it felt like not to be hyperbolic, but it felt like a death blow, right? It was like, well, Xbox just doesn't have exclusives, and I think they're finally just coming out of that. What, 4 years later, 5 years later, with Game Pass, and now with all their studio acquisitions. So Scalebound's a good call. I don't know if I would have loved that game, but I loved the idea of the game 100%.
I don't know. They were going for something, and I was ready to see what that was.
Yeah.
So.
Yo, and there's always, I feel like once a year, there's those weird like rumors. I feel like I'm at a bar and someone comes over, not looking at you, puts the arm up on the bar and is like, hey, don't tell anyone I told you this, but Scalebound for Switch, and like walks away, and they're like, sir, I don't know you. Like, what are you talking about? This sounds ridiculous. What's going on?
Although that was like a couple years ago when you kind of heard some rumors. They're like, hey, they're bringing back Phantom Dust, and then they did. I don't know. Like sometimes
I want it, man. I think I've with our powers combined. Like, I mean, weirder shit has happened, man. Sorry.
No, keep going.
Yes, I got little mini sausage alien fingers, but let's do it. But like that would be like, could you imagine the hype levels though? Because like there have been so many rumors of, oh, it got picked up by this studio now. It pulled a Fable and now it's getting done by so-and-so. And like, could you imagine if like Xbox, this is not going to happen, by the way, listeners / watchers, but like, could you just picture like them having their showcase and they're like, boom, 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 boom. And then it fades to black and then it fades back in. It's like, by the way, and it's just like a giant dragon just going right towards the camera. And it says Scalebound 2022.
It's
like
back.
We're bringing back all our dead stuff. Phil Spencer found the Dragon Balls, like Fable Legends, that Phantom Dust thing that we were doing, all coming back.
Beautiful.
It's a beautiful thing. Liana, how about you? What do you do you have any games that you were heartbroken when they were canceled?
Yeah, man. The Star Wars game that fell victim to LucasArts and Disney's acquisition, layoffs. Buried it under the ground. Star Wars. Is it 131 or 1313?
Yeah.
There's been several dead bodies.
I was building it up.
There's a mass grave for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. I'm just really annoyed with the Jedi storyline. That's what actually pushed me and Old Republic to play this side, because I was just like, I don't know. At this point, it just feels like Jedi are just circle jerking each other, and I'm just tired of it. I don't know if I will last.
It's been said. I'll
Yeah,
I just got really tired of it. And then, we found out this game where you get to play Boba Fett and you get to play the bounty hunter storyline. And I was like, oh my God, that sounds so dope. And then in 2013, it was like, just kidding. And then we got Mandalorian, and that just made me want it even more. Cause I was like, this is imagine this in an open world game format. Like, that would be incredible. And it had so much potential to open up. Because I feel like canon has just gotten so warped over the years that nobody really knows what the hell is going on anymore because it just changes. It feels like every other week. And I feel like this could have been a really cool opportunity to kind of course correct some of that retcon and also open up gamers to an entirely different part of the Star Wars universe because the books and the comics are incredible. If you guys don't read the comics from Star Wars,
Light of the Jedi is so good.
Right? Like when I saw you post that picture, I was like, oh, you were in for a treat, my friend. Like the books are just incredible. The comics are incredible. This could have given us a storyline that would have opened up all of that in a beautiful way that is not the standard, like, bad guy versus good guy. Like, not everybody's good, not everybody's evil. It's okay to hover in between sometimes. It's human nature, duality. It's beautiful, existential crisis for everybody.
Yeah,
and I
beautiful.
feel like it's beautiful. I feel like this could have been a really cool thing, and Disney screwed the pooch on that. They acquired it, and then they said only yes.
Yeah,
Boom.
It's crazy. I'm always amazed that Fallen Order happened and relieved because there was a lot. It felt like watching those nature documentaries when you see sea turtles hatching and trying to get to the sea, but they're getting picked off by seagulls. That's what the Star Wars franchise felt like for a long time. And at Jedi Fallen Order was the one sea turtle that got to the ocean.
Yeah, and it was good. Respawn is so good. That game, I really like that game for all of its problems. I actually think yeah, 1313 is a good one. I actually think I was more hyped for the Amy Hennig Star Wars game, especially when we read what it was. I was like, this is put Uncharted into Star Wars and you've got it. Like hook, line, and sinker. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Amy is such a, like, can we just like have an Amy appreciation post? Because
absolutely.
Right here.
She has got one of the most brilliant minds in the industry. And I feel like it is so underutilized. I'm not underutilized because obviously there's a lot of people that appreciate her, but I feel like she doesn't have the love she deserves.
She has a knack for storytelling in an almost like Spielberg-esque way where it's like it's joyful at the same time as also like, being a crazy adventure. Like maybe I'm just drawing off the Uncharted games, right? But like it just feels like she has such a knack for that, and that would have worked perfectly as a ragtag crew, like coming out of Tatooine, like, and we'll only always ever have that one little snippet from E3, but
I need a space Sully.
That's beautiful. Oh yeah.
Chopping a space cigar.
I'm excited because there's a bunch of Star Wars games in the works, and I'm interested to learn more in them.
Yeah,
I don't know if I was allowed to say that, but
I mean, we know Ubi is working on the open world Star Wars game. They've confirmed that. So
there are 3 big publishers working on Star Wars games right now, and I'm interested if they're going to do. I don't know. I want to. I don't want to say like I want to see them piggyback off of something that was already done, but it would be really cool to see some kind of a spiritual successor of either one of those games come out because they're great. And Visceral's shut down. I think everybody was shocked by that when they closed Visceral's doors. Like,
speaking of Visceral, that is mine. I'm not going to beat a dead horse here because Lord knows Marcus and John have already done that plenty. But I've talked about it a lot. Visceral's closing, which probably this was never even going to happen anyways, but Visceral's closing meant no Dante's Inferno 2 for me. And so it effectively canceled that game. It was really good. And
the penis level, guys. It had a penis level.
Was that ever confirmed to be happening, or is it more like now we know it'll never happen?
The ending is so clear that this was going to be a franchise. The way they ended it, and a really cool one at that. I won't.
It played really well in PSP. When I was on deployment, I actually bought a PSP. Really? Don't ever try to order anything to Afghanistan. Let me tell you, it's a pain in the butt.
I won't.
It took like 9 weeks to get it, but I was so proud. It was like this beat up little PSP, and it had Dante's Inferno, and it played really well on PSP. Just the swinging from the vines and crawling up the walls, and I don't know.
And
boobs and peni everywhere. It was great.
And for all those reasons, but I do think it had a solid combat system, even though it was a little samey to the God of War series at the time. But that the Divine Comedy is very fascinating to me. And where it was going, I think, was something I was very excited to explore. Angels and demons and all that kind of fun stuff. So, and while you're right, Marcus, I don't think it was ever said like, hey, Dante's Inferno 2. That same guy who talked about Scalebound didn't come up to me. He was like, hey, Dante's Inferno 2, Vita this time, and then walk away. But it was clear that they wanted more for that. But I'm sure they spent most of their budget on that Super Bowl commercial and couldn't make another one. So
the problematic marketing campaign of that.
I think so. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Beautiful. All right. Next question from Noah Lovelace from the beautiful neighboring state of Iowa. Noah sends a really long email. I will try to condense it in best I can. He said, I'll keep my story short, and talks about how when Death Stranding released, he didn't really partake in it, but he listened to the soundtrack a ton, because someone on the GI review discussion mentioned that the music in the game was pretty great. It had churches in the soundtrack, so I was all in on it. Let's see. I couldn't have been happier with my decision, as Death Stranding is near top favorite game of all time. History has repeated itself recently, with the interest in Nier Automata's excellent soundtrack being sparked by the podcast. I'm now playing through the game thanks to Game Pass once again. Thank you for informing me with both these excellent titles. My question for you all is this: has listening to a game soundtrack ever convinced you to play the game? I know it seems backwards, but as I've described, it has personally worked on 2 occasions. I love hearing all of the conversations about music in games, so keep that up. Also, he sends a very nice note about even though this may not make the cut, Ben, you were doing a fantastic job as host. I'll be sure to tell him once I release him from his bottle. And then please tell Alex Stadnick I really enjoy listening to his voice on that creepy note. Not creepy. Appreciate the compliment. God has gifted me with these chords, so I appreciate it. So has there ever been, I actually don't know if I have an answer to this, but for you guys, has there ever been a time when a game soundtrack is so good it convinces you to play it?
God, I don't. Oh, go, Liana. You got one.
Get it.
That very climatic yes. It's an indie title, Necrobarista. I didn't know that what I was listening to was a gaming soundtrack, and it actually came on, I think, Pandora or Spotify or something, and I was like, oh, this is like my jam. And then I was like trying to figure out what it was from, and then I think it was like Spill the Coffee track or something, and I was like, this is really cool. Like, what is this? And I looked it up, and then when I found out what it actually was about, it's literally, like, as you can tell, I'm a huge coffee lover, and it's literally a game about coffee and death. So right up my alley, because happiness. And it was a really well done game. I'm so happy that soundtrack put me towards that, because the soundtrack is really unique, and it breathes the lifeblood of Necrobarista. It is. There are some titles out there that the soundtrack just is its lifeblood. You could not picture it with anything else. Mass Effect, Halo comes to mind. Medal of Honor soundtracks are really great. Assassin's Creed. You could never imagine Assassin's Creed track on something else. And Necrobarista, in my opinion, is very much like that. And I will always be grateful to Pandora / Spotify, whichever one it was.
For sure.
For sending that to me, because it was beautiful. If you haven't played it, I definitely highly recommend it, because it's amazing.
For sure. I don't know if this technically counts, but it's my show, damn it, and I'm going to count it. This isn't the only reason I decided to play it, but when the reviews for Celeste came out, it was like everyone marked the soundtrack, and rightfully so. It's one of the best ever. So I would, Celeste is that gem where it's like I was already in love with the art style, but everyone really highlighted the music, and I think it pushed me to actually give it a try. So, Jens, how about you?
Real quickly, I once was watching a speed run at SGDQ or AGDQ of VVV, and that soundtrack is so killer that just people getting hyped for specific songs in that run Like I checked out the soundtrack afterwards. It's one of my favorite game soundtracks of all time. But that got me into playing that game as well, which is very fun, puzzling, challenging. I would recommend it to anyone, especially for the soundtrack.
Yeah, I don't know if I have one. I've gotten close a few times. Like sometimes when I'm working, I'll put on those like playlists of like relaxing video game songs, and then occasionally I'll hear a song that I really like and don't recognize, and I'm like, oh, what game is that? And they're like, oh, okay, that sounds cool. I think in recent memory, Persona 5 is probably the soundtrack that's gotten me the closest to picking that game up, and I do want to eventually. It's really just the length of that game that intimidates me, like trying to figure out when I could fit
Really
that
long.
in. But I've listened to that soundtrack a lot between there and then also the Smash stage, and it's like, oh, like this game seems really cool. Okay, so that will probably be the one that does it, I guess. Check back in a year. We'll see if I if I get to it or not.
We will indeed. I also was going to add Ape Out, the soundtrack in that game.
Oh, yeah.
And the recommendation from the King Leo Vader. Like that game is incredible, and the music meshes. So I mean, that's the game, right? The music meshing with what you're doing. But if you like high tempo jazz and just Calamity and splatting guards for keeping a gorilla away from their child.
I've actually never played that game, and I know. Everybody always has that reaction, and I it's on my list.
I haven't either.
I literally like my sister. I knew my sister was getting a Switch 2 years ago or whatever, and I think she wanted like Hyrule Warriors or something like that, and I just completely ignored her list, and I was like, "You're getting Ape Out. I promise you will enjoy this game." And I think she did. I don't know. If you're listening, Taylor, tell me if you liked it. I don't think she's listening.
Secretly, she resents you forever now.
Fair. Yeah, she's like, I just wanted to kill people as Link and Zelda, but I got this stupid gorilla game.
So now I'm killing people as a gorilla.
Yeah, pretend it's Donkey Kong.
There you go. Perfect. Oh yeah, they should have done that. Have a little tie. It would have been great.
Oh, DLC.
Yeah, there we go.
DK Rap DLC.
Nintendo, if you need people, probably don't call us. We'll run your business to the ground.
You want people to see Donkey Kong in a darker light.
Here we go. Yeah. Murderous rampaging gorilla. Anywho, not to dragging this out, but we have one more segment here. Got one more for you.
That sounds like a segue, sir.
It is a segue. I'm happy you picked up on that because
good. I'm glad we call out segues around here.
Yes.
Yes. Oh yeah, we do.
We're very cool here. Very
new. Yeah. I just need to know.
Yes. Especially when you podcast with Reeves, you will be blown away by some of his segues. They're beautiful.
Can't wait. I loved yours though.
Thank you. Also, I can't take credit. Now I'm rereading the email and he said it in this. So Sean Pilling.
Cut that out.
Yeah, right. Sean Pilling from Mars says, "Hello, Game Informants. I won't be dragging out the intro." Yeah, see, I think I
nailed it.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Sean. Because I want you to consider these video game dragons as the coolest of all video game creatures for your ultimate character rankings. Also, I should explain character rankings. So this is the GI's ultimate character rankings, where we take characters that you send in at podcast@gameinformer.com and put them on one of the greatest lists of all time. Right now we have 67 characters ranked. But we also have one at 0, and we have 2 that have been Dairy Queened, DQ'd. The number 1 character on the list right now, the stud himself, Arthur Morgan. The lowest character we have on the list, 67, Silver the Hedgehog.
Seems
readers have messaged me about this Kai Langdon ranking, blaming me, like, you're the Mass Effect person. How could you let that happen? I was like, I was never on those podcasts.
No, we literally
for it, man.
Yeah, I literally said in that recording, I was like, well, if Liana were on this, he'd be ranked. But it's not Liana's fault. She wasn't on the show, so shut up. Commenters, not you, Liana. So
shut up, Liana.
Shut up. All right. But so I'm gonna make sure. Okay. Also, I have a tender spot in my heart for this because my partner believes that every game I play has dragons in them. So I'm happy to actually be ranking dragons. So first one, Y'all familiar with the Purple Wonder himself, Spyro the Dragon?
No.
No.
Never heard of
Well,
him.
damn it.
From Skylanders?
Yeah. Oh my God.
From
There's
Skylanders fame.
there's a segment of people who believe that.
Who only
no.
know
Don't tell me
Spyro
that.
from Skylanders. Yes,
Oh, for sure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not wrong. You know, it's a generational thing.
True.
Some people know him as the dragon voiced by Elijah Wood.
Yes,
You know,
That's fair.
as you should.
Do we have love for Spyro in this? Do we have any Crash versus Spyro opinions? Any spice that we can give
As
via
a
the
character, I mean, he is a dragon. That should score him some points.
yeah.
He breathes fire. He could fly. He's
Please tell me there's a Dragon Age game in this ranking.
I wouldn't want to ruin any surprises. No, there's not.
Yeah, I thought you were asking if Spyro.
Okay, well, I'm throwing this whole email out. Sorry, you're wrong, sir. There's literally a game about dragons, and we didn't include it.
Well, here's the thing: Crash Bandicoot is on this list
Mhm.
at number 39. I would argue, and I don't think I would get much opposition in saying that Spyro is a more complete character than Crash. I mean, a lot of that is being able to talk, speak in complete sentences.
Usually helps.
yeah.
He's a bit more fleshed out, even if his character is like Sonic Light, we'll say.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. I'm an idiot. He's on the list.
Wait,
Oh,
is
he is.
he's
Yes,
on the
he is.
list.
Oh.
He is above Guybrush Threepwood.
Why did
at
I?
35.
Alex.
I must have I controlled F and I had said no, so maybe I did Cypro.
Well, do we replace him then? Because I'm seeing like Fox McCloud on this list below him, Conker, Tingle. There's a few killers
Yeah.
that,
Tingle.
that are below him.
I think that checks out.
Tingle
personally.
needs to go. It's time for Dingle to go to Dairy Queen.
Hey, I can't. We don't. It's science, right? They make the science makes the list. Since he wasn't asking to re-rank Spyro, I think I have to cut it and just live with my mistake for eternity. Sure. You know,
Okay.
let the internet live on in infamy.
Hope it haunts you forever.
Oh, trust me, there's plenty of things that are going to haunt me forever.
Now they're never going to let you host again.
Yeah,
This
now
is a
is the
dire
time. Yeah, I kidnapped the host, and you think they're going to care about this one? Forget
You
about
are a
it.
Spyro villain right now.
Yeah,
Also, if anyone's wondering, Spyro is at 35 on the
Correct.
list.
correct. He is. I could have sworn he wasn't, but oh well. Life goes on. Next Dragoon is Parthenax from Skyrim.
Oh, the talking dude, right?
Yeah.
He scared me the first time because I didn't expect him to speak.
That's how I knew I played too many Bioware games, because I was like, I wish he was in Romance Ops.
I mean, there's probably a mod for that, right?
Yeah.
Kim and I have been trying forever to make that a podcast. Thank
Can
you
I-
very
can I
much.
Mounting.
Can I
You'd be
mod him?
mounting a dragon.
I mean, it could be like platonic. Like, I mean, I don't want to die.
It's romance.
Like,
Take it out to dinner.
there could be love. There could be non-sexualized love. Maybe some. Never mind.
In this hypothetical scenario, is it Parthenax?
Parthenau.
Okay.
Is he modded to look like Randy Savage?
Oh yeah.
Because then he might go high on my list.
I think we have to keep
That might
him
be-
canonical.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't think
well,
there's like an anti-doping policy, and that'd be like a performance enhancement.
Of course.
All right.
Got to keep it pure.
Do we have any peers on this list that we could compare him to?
Well, because Parthenau is kind of like your guide, right? Like, there's a certain point in the story where he kind of sets you on the right course. He's like the wise man role, basically, but a dragon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But to me, I guess, I don't know. I'm not a huge Skyrim guy. I know it's blasphemous, but I'm feeling like maybe in the 30s to 40s. Because I don't feel like he's sorry, internet. I don't feel like he's like that memorable. I guess I'm struggling I played through Skyrim and
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I just remember him as the one dragon that could talk.
He should chill out with.
It was pretty, and to be fair, it was pretty cool. And that was honestly spicy spice, but that was one of the few cool moments of Skyrim. Skyrim tried to be outbeat Oblivion and Morrowind, and to me, it failed miserably. It was an enjoyable game, but that was it.
Yeah.
That was actually one of the few interesting things that happened with Skyrim was that, hey, this dragon can talk. I'm not just killing them.
I guess the main villain can talk too, right? The evil dragon. So I guess there's him too.
Talking dragons, man.
Yeah.
Something we need more
I don't know.
of.
He doesn't really do much though. He's just like a quest post. Like you do something, you go back to him. He's like, "Good job. Now go here."
Yeah.
Is it weird
so
that I assume most dragons can talk?
True. Besides those bearded ones.
Do they sound like, I don't know, he was so like
I feel like it's a psychic
haughty.
thing.
He had like the
aristocratic almost.
he had like that powerful kind of stereotypical wise man voice of like, "Oh, Dragonborn, it is you."
Yeah.
Like he was
What was the dragon that talked in ESO? He was cool too. Elder Scrolls Online. I forgot his name, but like he was such an ass. He was like so mean, like kept taunting you, and like I was like, "Stop bullying me."
I think I found a place for Parthenau, at least a starting point.
What are you thinking?
Because I think he would fit in between Deacon St. John and Captain Jeff Quark from Ratchet and Clank. So in between 48 and 49, because he's not like bad, but he's also just kind of
He's there.
Like there's not much.
You're putting him above Cal.
Yeah.
Cal also isn't really.
No, but it was such a good game. Part of such a good game.
Yeah, he's like the least interesting person on that ship, though.
No.
Like if it was his crewmates, like BD or whatever his little robot guy is more interesting than he is.
Yeah, but to be fair, that's true for almost every Star Wars adventure.
So it's like I don't like. It's like the same thing of like Cal isn't bad, but he's just kind of there. But I think that he's less there than Parthenau.
That goes into like the science we talked about previously, though, is impact versus. Because we were talking about a scene that lasted, 15, 20 minutes versus an entire game.
Yeah. Liana,
that is giving a sequel.
Liana, where would you put our friend Parthenau here?
I don't think I have a stake in this one because I disagree with Cal's placement. But I also couldn't care less about Deacon. So it's I don't want him... Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know where I land. I don't think, to me, I thought he was cool because he did something different for that game. And I thought it was just nice. And I feel like that impacted also ESO with the talking dragons. And I liked that. So I would say, I don't know. I don't understand the science behind these rankings. I think
science is mysterious, right?
What you feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say bump down Claptrap, so 52.
Okay, right below Handsome Jack.
I can't put him above Handsome Jack. Handsome Jack was a jerk, but he was an interesting dang character. I think especially in Tales from Borderlands.
For sure. This is encouraging though because we're in the same area. We're on a similar wavelength. So John, between that 48 and 52 area, like where are you feeling? What feels good? What's the science telling you?
The science. Oh man.
It's all up to you, John. No pressure.
All right. It has to be. Yeah, let's put him between Handsome Jack and Claptrap. I kind of like that. I think Cal being a main character in general boosts him up quite a bit. And Handsome Jack is such a driver of the story in Borderlands 2. I guess, and the Telltale series a bit as well. That I think he deserves to be higher. Claptrap's a prop.
Yeah, a very annoying prop.
Yeah, I think he could go right around the 52 at 52.
Yeah, okay, I agree with that.
Feel okay about that?
I was gonna put him down at 60. With Gex and Explosion Man.
Oh, see, then we're getting into the
dragon and fire.
So that's like the gulags down there.
Yeah, we don't want to go down there. Okay, so I think I've felt the science. I've felt the explanations from you. I think that's right. So he is now the new 52.
That clappy.
That's
not penned by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. Because then he would be much higher.
Does that DQ Silver? now, or are we going all the way up to 100?
Silver's going down and down and down until we die, basically.
What DQs a character? I just want to know real quick.
Well, do you want the real? I'll give you both answers.
Okay.
The podcast answer is, you know, we consult with the science. We really talk about it. We think it through, and there's just the science isn't telling us anything. You know, it's just it's not speaking to us. In actuality, we just didn't know who the hell those characters were, so we disqualified them.
Absolutely, yeah.
I still don't know who Kylag is, and I played Mass Effect 3.
Yeah, and I've never played Alpha Protocol. It doesn't matter. Anywho, The Last Dragon, which sounds like a game in itself. It probably is somewhere.
That is, I think.
Yeah. In the history of games, it has to be. Let's do one that's going to be a little harder because of the iconic nature of the beast himself, or herself. Charizard from Pokemon.
Oh, yeah.
Last Dragon was a movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it should be number. How much is Charizard currently worth? That should probably be the number.
Yeah.
According to Logan Paul, $1 million.
It was
in actuality,
PSA 10 graded card. So yeah, sure.
Yeah. Because here's the thing. Ooh. So we have Pikachu at. No, don't add a bookmark. Ugh.
Are we talking just like standard Charizard? Or are we talking Ash's Charizard here?
Yeah, so I think we had that debate with Pikachu too. When we is this Ash's Pikachu or just a Pikachu?
I think it's a Pikachu because they didn't specify any specific Charizard, and we have to keep it. It needs to be locked into video game lore. So the character has to come from video games with certain exceptions like The Witcher. Geralt we ranked on here, even though I denied the science in that one, but the science slapped me in the face. So I believe Pikachu is the highest Pokemon in the series. Yeah. And for me, this is hard because Charizard's goaty. He's like Mount Rushmore of Pokemon, 110%. But that being said, he doesn't necessarily have a ton of personality other than the text in the games that it tells you that they have the personality of, right?
I will quickly argue that I think he should go above Pikachu.
Okay.
And the reason is because even Game Freak is a stand for Charizard. In Sword and Shield, the champion Leon has a Charizard as his signature Pokemon, and that's not even from Sword and Shield.
Right.
I think the only way you can get Charizard is by getting a Charmander after you beat him.
Yep.
So having a signature Pokemon for the brand new games being a Charizard with a new form, with the Gigantamax form. Also, not to mention the Mega Evolutions X and Y has 2 different ones.
Yes.
And the shiny version's just rad. Mm-hmm. So I think
Science
Charizard.
Has spoken. He's right.
Yeah. Yeah,
let's do it.
But I guess where could it go above Pikachu?
I'm not willing. I don't think higher than Zelda, right? But because it's hard. This is what it gets hard about this, right? Is because Alex Vance is a very well thought out character, good motivations, iconic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Charizard is iconic for a visual sense. And from a power sense too, right? And how good it feels to use flamethrower on your enemies with him or her. So in that realm, I don't did I feel more from Charizard than Voss? No, but also yes, because especially when you're younger with those games, you form that connection because you see them grow from Charmander all the way up. So it's that nostalgia and that connection means something, but in a vacuum, if it's just some random, if it's your Charizard, I frankly, I don't care as much, you can
enjoy it as a kid. You can enjoy him as a character as an adult. Alex, if you're playing Alex as a kid, you're not going to understand the nuance of this is the tricky stuff. This is why I hate character rankings, because every time it's impact versus realism. And then also realism is kind of an iffy thing too, because everybody perceives characters a different way based on their own life experiences. So it's this is magica thrown in with science and shenanigans, and it's so hard.
The complication that I didn't process before is Pikachu shares a spot at 23 with Princess Peach.
We're not even going to touch that one because I don't know why that's there.
Right. But so do we have to weigh Princess Peach as well? Compared to Charizard.
It's pretty fair.
It's Princess Peach's Charizard or Pikachu.
I would like
I
to see that,
was
actually.
one of those people that wanted Peach off and way further down the list, so I have no comment here.
Do we allow the science to split those two?
Oh, perform surgery.
Wow.
Oh, Ben's gonna come back and he's gonna be like, "What?
What is this list?
Put Peach at 23, put Charizard at 24, Pikachu at 25, and then the rest of the list."
I'm gonna
See,
say
I feel like if we split Peach, like the discussion would have to be more than just putting her a step below Pikachu, because that will open her up for a complete re-ranking.
yeah. Which
I just hate the fact that we're putting this above Cassandra.
I know.
Cassandra was such a good character and such a turning point for the entire franchise.
Oh yeah, but can she breathe fire?
She cannot.
Yeah, she wanted
can
to.
do a lot.
She's a badass.
That's true. I'm sorry. That's a bad
She
question.
can do whatever she wants.
Is it worth noting, like, in terms of Smash Brothers, like Charizard
that's
was
a
the
good
one, like when they in Brawl, when they Pokemon Trainer was all three of them. If this was wrestling, they were like the Shield, and then they decided to break them up, and Charizard was the only one that got the solo.
He was the tribal chief. He was the head of the table.
Yeah, we need to acknowledge him. That's what you're saying.
Yes, absolutely.
We should acknowledge Charizard. He's got new teeth now too, for some reason, and he should
just look good.
I think
just going over people's heads,
right? Yeah, I'm just like,
all the lame,
yeah,
all the lame people, John.
I've got you, man. I understand.
Okay, so I could see the argument for putting Charizard. I love Charizard. Having a Charizard Pokemon card was pretty much the peak of being a collector as a kid, even back then, which I never had. I know we're not counting Ash's Pikachu, but some of that affinity, or Ash's Charizard, some of that affinity for Charizard comes from that iteration of the character too. So it's for me, it's a little hard to separate that a bit. He's the coolest starter evolution. As much as I love Blastoise, I think I would even put Charizard over him. Mm-hmm. So I think that overall, I think he put him over Pikachu, because Pikachu's cute and is iconic, but I think overall, in terms of like just usefulness and combat, because of how powerful it is, I think
it is a final evolution.
Yeah, like if you put those two against each other in a fight, realistically, Charizard probably wins.
Detective Pikachu says no, though. So,
well, he's not on the list. That's a different Pikachu.
It's a whole different Pikachu. Yeah, Marcus, I agree. I think we let the science sit. Peach and Pikachu stay at 23, but I think we move Charizard to 22 or 23. Yeah, and then they move down a spot.
And then they would move down.
Yeah. Liana, you good with that? John, feeling good about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
Okay. I'm still salty over Cassandra, so I'm good.
Create a burner email, demand we re-rank her, and we'll re-rank her.
Yes.
But you didn't hear that from me.
Is that what I can do for Dragon Age characters too? Because this list is solely lacking some Dragon Age, man. I say that every time I'm on this.
I'm going to have to start checking IP address. Oh, no.
Please, Alistair, Fenris, Dorian, Isabel, somebody, somewhere, please submit an email.
We're going to have to do a special edition podcast with you just ranking all of the Dragon Age characters against each other.
That's what me and Kim are doing. It's just taking for us forever because we can't rank them.
That's fair.
Yeah. Well, what a beautiful list. So officially, we have Charizard at 23 and Parthena. Parthena?
Sure.
I'm showing my ass right now. Parthena. Yeah. The talking dragon from Skyrim goes to 53. What an episode. What an episode. We did it. See, Reiner, Reeves, I didn't burn anything down. We're good. We out here.
Alex.
We're going to end this episode. Oh, geez. Maybe my apartment's going down. We're going to end this episode, as we always do, with get wrecked. And John, I'll pick on you last, because this is the segment of the show where we pick something on the site that we're really proud of, or we think someone did a great job on. And John, I'm just telling you about this now because I forget things. So we'll come to John last. But
we'll roll with it.
Liana, what do you got to recommend for the good people?
Just to bring it full circle at the beginning of the podcast, Mr. Jason Guasano and I tag teamed the new Battlefield reveal. We've got a couple pieces up on the site now about it. We've got a more in-depth preview of the new Battlefield coming up this weekend. So I would just keep an eye on the 2042 Game Hub that we've got, because there's some cool stuff about that. And it's something we're very excited for. So check that.
I will be there. Marcus.
Hey, so this weekend, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart comes out. I'm really excited for that as a huge Ratchet & Clank fans, and we have our review that one Andrew Reiner put together. Really great review. If you are on the fence about that game or just want to learn more about it, I encourage you to go to GameInformer.com and check it out. After reading his review, I'm even more excited to finally get my hands on that game.
Definitely. It's a beautiful thing. John, should we keep going or should I go, or do you have one?
I'll go. I only have one thing to really be proud of so far on the site, and that's I put up my first article as of today. Yeah. It is the E3 predictions and wishes. It's 10 different predictions for this coming E3 and Summer Game Fest. Also, it's a companion piece to a special edition podcast of the Game Informer show that this very crew did together, and went over a lot of these same things, and we discussed even more than what's in the article. So please check that out. Go leave a comment. Go let us know what you're looking forward to at E3.
Very nice. I'm going to piggyback off that, and I'm going to cheat a little bit because, like I said, I'm the host and I can. I think this is a good spot to recommend our E3 video coverage because I don't know how much we've said outside of the stream we did today, but E3 season, it's here, it's beautiful. We are rocking out with you guys. But how is that going to look now that we're on Twitch? So each day, some of the bigger conferences I think we for sure have planned are Summer Games Fest, Ubi, Microsoft, Bethesda, Square, Nintendo for sure. I think there's some others we're discussing still doing watch-alongs for, but we will be there on Twitch 15 minutes before each conference, kind of prep you, talk about what we're excited about. We'll do the watch-along, we'll laugh, we'll cry. It'll be a whole thing. Can't wait. After that, though, because I know a lot of you people love the YouTube channel, so do we, we're not going to leave you high and dry. We're going to stop the live stream. We're going to record 15 to 20 minute reaction videos and post them after every stream. So you'll get our spicy takes on YouTube as well. Thirdly, from the 12th through the 15th, we are also doing reaction or like kind of daily wrap up podcasts through the GI Show feed. So if you're enjoying all this E3 coverage, you're in luck because we'll have a new podcast for you pretty much every night. That Monday slot I'm a little worried about, but that is not your problem. So that's kind of in a nutshell what we're looking at. We're trying to see if there's any other interviews or anything we can line up, but I think that's the solid plan for now. So
exciting stuff.
Exciting. My goodness.
Best time of the year.
Get wrecked
indeed. We are going to get wrecked over the course of the next couple of days. Leanna, yes. John, Marcus, Alex, thank you for doing this. Thank you for joining us. As always, be sure to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe to the podcast, the magazine. We got plenty for you to subscribe to. The hub, the E3 hub is on our site now, so check that out for all the E3 goodness. And for goodness sake, just be good to one another. This was probably my last hosting gig ever at Game Informer, but I appreciate you. So. No. And now I will end this.
You did great.
Yes. I will end this show now with a whole monologue about why the Grunt is an underrepresented character in Halo. 3, 2, 1. Goodbye.